Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Schulze, and I'm coming to you from Tuscany, right in the middle of Italy. And I'm creating a really fun and special series of videos for you about herbs that grow in and around you. Now, what I'm going to do is take some time and walk around this area and show you about 10 of my favorite local herbs that are growing. And you're already thinking, well, what good is this going to do me? Because I live in Cincinnati, or I live in New York or New Jersey, or I live in California or Oregon or Texas. Well, I'll tell you the good it's going to do you, because the same herbs that grow here grow right in your own backyard. In fact, most of the herbs I cover are the most common herbs in America, and they're growing in your backyard. And it's great to know how to use these herbs. Now, why do you want to know how to use these herbs? Now, I know that most of you think of Dr. Schulze as just the guy in the clinic, a doctor, not necessarily the guy walking around outside looking at plants, digging up plants, identifying plants. But let me tell you, my earliest training was as an herbal pharmacist. And this is most important because still today I'm involved in making all the herbal medicines that you use. And that's how you know me, is through the herbal medicines that I made in my clinic and now I make for Dr. Schulze's botanical pharmacy. So that's what I do. So I have to know when these herbs are ripe to pick. I have to know what they're supposed to look like. Where's the best area to get them from? I also have to know how they should smell and how they should taste and what color they are, because this is important, because I only use the finest herbs. You can't expect to ever get good herbal medicine unless you use the absolute finest herbs to begin with. But also, it's summer, and soon it'll be fall, and I want you to get outside and have some fun. Fun is fundamental, my friends. I need you to get outside and have some fun. And walking around is getting great exercise. And while you're getting that great exercise, get some brain stimulation and take a look at these plants and go, oh, I wonder if that's the plant Dr. Schulze talked about. Or, oh, I know what that plant is. Or I'll tell you about some field guides that you can get in a little bit to help you identify the plants. Also, so we're going to get to know 10 plants that you can see in and around your area. Now, why is this important also? Well, let me tell you a story. Years and years and years and years ago, when my clinic before Malibu, before Santa Monica, was in Hollywood, California, I was meeting for lunch the head of one of the biggest modeling agencies in California. And when I got to his office, he was showing me that he had some pain and he had horrible indigestion. Now, right before I walked into his building, I noticed some Funiculum vulgare, some fennel growing up right through the cracks in the sidewalk in Hollywood. So when he said he had horrible indigestion, is there anything I could do? I ran down the stairs, ran out the door of the modeling agency. I grabbed some fennel flowers, some fennel seeds, some fennel stalk, got up, crushed it up in his office, poured some boiling water over it, and as soon as it cooled, I gave it to him, a very strong infusion of fennel, and within 5 minutes, his whole digestion issue was solved. His indigestion was gone. A beautiful herb, because I recognized it right there. You never know when you're going to need herbs, and if you can identify a few or 6 or 10 or 12 in your area, you're way ahead of the game, my friends. You're way ahead of the game. Well, the long and short of it is this man ended up sending every model that came into his business to my clinic to make sure they were healthy before they embarked on their modeling career, because that's grueling and a lot of work and takes a lot of energy. Now, certainly I didn't mind thousands of models coming into my clinic, but secondly, I got a lot of patients this way, so you never know what can benefit you from being able to identify a few herbs. Now, look, I don't expect you to be an herbalist, but you need to always have a plan B, if not a plan C or D. And a great plan B is to recognize 10 herbs that grow in and around where you live. Even if you live in New York City, half these herbs I'm talking about, maybe all of them are growing right in Central Park. You can find them. It's not that difficult, my friends. And so this is a great plan B. And even if you don't care about a plan B, it's nice to be able to collect some herbs and dry them or use them fresh and make some sun teas that you can use to augment the herbal medicines of mine that you're already using. And I'm going to mention with each of these herbs that I show you what herbal medicines of mine they're in and how you can use them. So it's a great way to do it. You can even make some healing oils. Okay, now I know that some of you out there are still sitting back going, I don't care. I'm never going to look at a plant. I'm never going to identify a plant. I'm never going to leave my living room. I don't want to go outside. I hate nature. That's okay too. I just want you to know that I'm still going to tell you stories in this video series about the herbs, about the phytochemicals. You know, you hear about phytochemicals a lot nowadays. The phytochemicals in St. John's wort that have been proven effective for depression. The phytochemicals in ginkgo that will reverse dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So I'm going to talk to you about the chemistry that's in these plants and how this chemistry affects you and affects your body, mind, and spirit. So you're going to hear lots of stories about the medicinal action of these herbs. So there's a lot more than just field identification and getting yourself dirty and muddy. Okay, now I mentioned that I was in Tuscany. And some of you were worried thinking, well, I'm never going to go to Italy, and how is this going to apply to me? Well, I already mentioned that the same herbs that I'm going to talk about here grow in New York, New Jersey, Colorado, Texas, California, Oregon, and the vast majority of the entire United States. These are the herbs of your ancestors. They've just become naturalized in America. Most herbs in America that I'm going to be talking about weren't native to America. They become naturalized there, which means someone brought them over. Now, how did they get over? You know, I always wondered those questions too, you know, how these herbs got over and, you know, how that happened. And then I remembered, whoo, look at that. Okay, they came over with your ancestors, a lot of them by accident. How many times have you gone out into the woods and reached down and pulled out of your pants pocket, what's this? And your cuffs of your pants or your socks. My socks are the big area. When I always come back from a walk, my socks look like this. They have all sorts of seeds stuck all over them. Wonderful Tuscan lavender there. You get seeds. Sometimes you get some food. That popped into my clothes this morning. A rubus species. I don't know which one. There's 250 of them, but I'll call it blackberry. Here's some beautiful plantain tops. Look at this plantain. See, as I picked this up, they were flying all over the place already. Some chastree berry seeds. Again, in your pants cuffs. This stuff's all over you. Sorry, I had to have breakfast. This is how these herbs got to America. In people's pants cuffs, in their shirt sleeves, stuck on their clothing, in their luggage, a lot of it by accident. Now we have the Spanish explorers coming through California. They brought the herbs of Spain. We had the English explorers coming through New England. They brought the herbs of England. You have the herbs in America. You know, often American herbalism talks about getting its roots from TEM, traditional European medicine. Really, that's what it is, because all the people from Great Britain, the English, the Welsh, the Scottish, the Irish came over, brought herbs with them. The Europeans, the Germans, the Austrians, the great old nature care doctors, they brought herbs with them. The Italians, the Africans brought herbs, Asians brought herbs. America is so fertile. It's a beautiful petri dish, a growing ground, a beautiful fertile land for herbs of the world. So the majority of herbs that we have in America were brought to America either accidentally or on purpose. Accidentally, a lot of them, a nice milk thistle here, by your ancestors. Okay, so that's how they got to the USA. So think of it as traditional European medicine, or if you're Russian, traditional Russian medicine, because these came from the old world, wherever your old world happens to be. So these are the herbs and the medicine of your ancestors. We can study how your ancestors used them, like in traditional European medicine. So these are the herbs and how to use them of your ancestors from the old country. Now, I was a Boy Scout, friends, so the first thing I like to do is get prepared. Be prepared, get prepared. So we're going to go outside. We're going to be walking either through the woods or the fields. You're going to see me in all types of terrain. So it's important to set yourself up to win and have fun. And one of the ways we do that is with equipment. So first off, it's important to have a good hat. I have a lot of kinds of hats I wear. You'll see a few different ones in the video. So I like to have a good hat, keep the sun off my head, and a good pair of shoes. Hiking boots are great. Military combat boots are great. Around here I can just use some nice running shoes. They work just fine. But the most important ingredient, do not forget your bug block. Okay? One of the ways I use it is first off on my hat. I just spray it all around my hat. Pretty much soak the hat down. Okay, now I got tons of bug block on my hat, and that tends to keep the bugs away from my head. And this time of year we get horse flies, and boy, they feel like they're chewing your flesh off like a freaking alligator. Okay, so horse flies, and also I like to spray my shoes. Okay, I get a good amount of my bug block on the shoes, sprayed around the shoes. I often even spray the tops of my socks, and this keeps any bugs like ticks or anything from crawling up my legs. And then depending on where I'm going and the time of the year, if I get a lot of mosquitoes, like when I'm in sunny southern Florida where I live most of the time, boy, I just hose down with bug block my shirt. And I put these clothes in a side room or a mud room, and I wear them over and over and over again outside. I don't wash them as much as my other clothing because I like the fact that they are penetrated with my bug block, and that keeps the bugs away from me. Now, if you're in tough terrain, it's good to have a great walking stick. This is a great walking stick, one of my favorites here, made out of blackbriar. I have a gentleman in London, England, who makes me a lot of my great walking sticks, and this is a great walking cane also. Sometimes you got to reach up something or knock something out of a tree, or around here I could get a wild boar, a shingale attack, so you never know what's going to happen. You might need to prod an animal away. And in Southern California, we have a lot of rattlesnakes where I do my herb walks, and so if I disturb a rattlesnake, you know, I've even stepped on them, and I just had a little talk with him. I said, friend, you go away, I go away, and we're all good. And I have never been bitten by a rattlesnake, even when I stepped on it. Just be careful, walk slowly, carry a big stick, and if you see one, you can just help it out of its way or move away yourself, okay? And then it's also important to have a bag with you. I like to have some water in my bag. I don't own North Face. I don't own any stock in North Face, but I love this company. I just went down to the Med the other day on my motorcycle for 2 days, had a North Face bag on the back. I carry North Face backpacks. North Face has never failed me. Good gear. Not expensive and great gear. I travel with it all over the world. So have a good backpack because you're going to collect some herbs, and you always want to have a good knife. Okay, this is one of my favorites. It's an SOG. You want to have a serrated part because you might have to cut a little wood, and then a sharp part to shave some bark or help identify a plant. So have a good knife. And these are some of the tools you want when you go out. And one final thing that you could take out with you is a field identification book. You know, there's a series called the Peterson Field Guide series, and I've used them my whole life. They are awesome. They have them for medicinal herbs, edible herbs, but they have them for wildflowers. That's the best one. Get the wildflowers and the trees and shrubs, and get one for your area because they're divided up from the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest to the Northeast to the Southeast to the Midwest. They're divided up. So find the Peterson Field Guide for your area for wildflowers, and then another one for trees and shrubs. And if you're into it, you can get one for birds and reptiles and seashells. But they're great series. They're not designed for scientists, so you don't have to know how to work a botanical key to identify the plant. They're divided up by the color of the flower, which is really beautiful, and just about anybody can narrow it down and find the plant. It's the most common plants in your area. So grab a Peterson Field Guide, put it in your North Face pack, throw it, grab your walking sticks, get your hat, get your shoes, get your bug box, get your knife, and so next week, when I start talking to you, when I take you outside, you're ready, and let's get outside.